Hi, good afternoon. We're going to get this meeting started. Opening items, call to order.
Trustees present this evening are Trustee Ariano, Trustee Castillo, Trustee Calderon, Trustee Avina, and Trustee Contreras. You have a full quorum.
Thank you. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand. Thank you. B, item 1, local indicators. Ms. Elisa Ramirez.
Yeah, and as she's coming up, Mr. Contreras, this fulfills our requirement to provide an annual report to our school board of trustees and to our school community regarding our LCAP local indicators. And I do want to, say how that Elisa works really, really hard to put this very extensive report together. So I want to thank her for all of her work. I've seen her here personally being really late at night and even working on weekends to put this report together. So at this point, Ms. Ramirez will present our annual report.
Thank you.
So good evening, Superintendent Jimenez, trustees, our community here present. So my name is Elisa Ramirez. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, and tonight I'll be presenting to you the it's a CUSD LCAP, but it's really the local indicators that are found in the LCAP, okay? So what are the local indicators? The local indicators are a set of measurements that we are required to present to the board through a regular board meeting to demonstrate the progress that we've done. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it right now. It does have to be done through a regular board meeting, and then the final stage is we're given a window between, actually it was June 1st all the way to the end of July, to upload all this information in our dashboard. If you go to the California dashboard, there's a lot of pieces of data. Some of them are state indicators and there's others that are local. And so that's what I'm going to present to you. The state indicators are the ones that tell you the assessments. How are the students progressing in ELA, math, science, our suspension rate, college and career indicator, our chronic absenteeism, our graduation rates. But the ones on the right are local indicators. They're not measured by the state. Instead, we have to provide it in a different format. So the 5 priorities that are part of the local indicators are priority 1, basic conditions at school. Priority 2, implementation of state academic and this is standards, parent and family engagement, school climate, and access to a broad course of study. When we respond to these questions, some of them are narratives, but then others are tools that the state provides for us. After we report to you, I have to upload the information, and just the fact that I upload it on time with the correct date, we're considered to have met the indicator. So we're not measured, they don't say, you know what, you're not improving as much as you want. It's just you're meeting our expectations to upload this information. If I don't upload, then it's a not met. And if I don't upload 2 years in a row, it's considered not met for 2 or more years. So just the fact that we present and upload, we meet the requirement. So the first one, the basic conditions at school. This is the one that we checked on teacher assignments or credentials, the sufficiency of instructional materials, and if we have facilities in good repair. The teacher assignments, before we used to compute the percentages, now the state automatically puts it on that dashboard. But the other 2, we still come and present to you that information. I'll be giving you a little bit more information of those. So the very first one, this is the one that the state provides. Usually the data is either 1 or 2 years behind. So like for this one, they do have it 2 years behind. So the data that they have in our dashboard is from 22-23. So in 22-23, we had 92.4% of our teachers that held a clear credential. If you look at the right, we are above the county and above the state. Some of the things that we noticed that were some of the challenges, and the reason why we are missing that 7.6%, it has to do to our hard to fill positions like special education. We struggle for some time to get a music teacher, and any teacher that's going through the preliminary credential are not considered to be cleared. So that's why they're that 7.6%. From the previous year, 21-22, we actually went from 87.3 to 92.4. So we had an increase. And one thing that we do notice over time is that we have less and less teacher in the induction program. And usually it's because we have most of our teachers who have already cleared their credential. And there in the right side, you see that little box. That's where it shows. That's how it's in the actual dashboard. It says standard met. Okay. The second item that I'm going to show you right now is the sufficiency of textbooks. The way they ask is how many of the students do not have access to instructional materials. That's why you see the 0%. Okay, it doesn't mean that none of our students have instructional materials. In October of 2024, I brought you a resolution stating that in our core courses, ELA, math, science, and social science, every student had access to a book. For me and for my curriculum team, I make sure that every content area, regardless if they're core or not, have instructional materials by the time we get to October, the end of October, which is the deadline for us. So we actually make sure that everything's in. And then the last part of this priority is our Williams visits, our monitoring our facilities and how they rank. This year, we had a 98.03 ranking of good or exemplary, and we had a total of 114 deficiencies. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what that was. So if you see here, you can see the deficiencies for every site. Every deficiency they have could be different. For example, let's just say Willie Moreno. Willie Moreno, there's a deficiency on our gym. We need to repaint it. We need to reseal it. There's a lot of things that we do that is out of our control. If there's a lot of gaps in cement, those are hard to fix right away. If it's something small, we make sure that we address it before we hit the deadline. So if we're missing a tile, we get it fixed. So most of these are things that are really going to take time to fix. And so that's why you have them there. So you can see the rating between good, exemplary, and we don't have anybody on fair. So that means that everybody's above the good ranking. So over time, at the very bottom of this chart, you see 2021. That's the year that we had to leave right in the middle. And a lot of people were not working, and that's why we had 199 deficiencies. The following year is when we were completely distance learning, so we didn't have kids, so our facilities were really well kept, 58 deficiencies. All the way to the top, you see the 114, and it's less deficiencies than what we had last year, which was 139. So for priority 2, the implementation of state academic standards. For this one, they give us a tool. It's a reflection tool, and I send this out to every content area teacher, including, like, for example, CTE teachers. They specify who I need to send it to. And then the teachers rank us, and then we take an average of those rankings. The scoring is from 1 to 5, 1 being exploration, and the research phase, to 5, full implementation and sustainability. So the first question talks about professional development. So our ELA teachers, their response and the way they ranked us for professional learning in the area of language arts was a 4. So if you see on the top, it's full implementation. And we needed 1 more to be at sustainability. Some of the reasons that I assume or I perceive where we got a 4 is because some of these frameworks are outdated already. We were supposed to start already adopting math and ELA, but math, with a lot of changes that they made, we're actually maybe 3 years behind already, and that's really because of the state, not us. We can't purchase books unless they have a released items that have been state approved already. So right now, math, they already released all the vendors that are providing it, but we don't get the final list of approved until between January and March. As soon as that list comes out, then we start working with our team and our teachers, and we start piloting, and we start the voting. The teachers are the ones who vote for the curriculum, and so there's a whole process that we do for that. And then at that point, the following year, we purchase books. So we need to make sure that in our budget we have funding saved so that when we do get to the adoption, we have the funding to purchase all the books that are needed. And then you see the English development, we got a 4. Mathematics, we got a 4. The next generation, science and history, they were the last ones to get or they're the newest one, right? The last adoptions, which was in 2016, with science and social science. This past year was the first year that we started doing science and social science, the backward mapping and curriculum process that we're doing with a partnership with Orenda. So they were the ones who got the PD towards the end. Whereas ELA and math, we've been working on it for 4 years. This is going to be our 5th year that we're doing this work. So they're a little bit behind. And so hopefully this 3 is going to increase to something higher by the end of next year when they're doing more of the work. The next one is on instructional materials. So this is where we got 4s everywhere. And so like I mentioned, ELA and math already are outdated because we are supposed to change curriculum every 6 to 7 years. So we're already behind. And because math is behind, then ELA is behind right after that. Implementations of policies or programs to support staff in identifying areas that they can improve the delivery of instruction that is aligned to a various activities. So here we have 4s for ELA and math. Again, we've been working with our process of getting our standards aligned, our assessments, and our data reflection sessions. And in science and social science, they're really starting. And so that's why I believe that the score is a little bit lower than the other 3 content areas. The next one is implementing each of the following academic standards on other content areas that are not your core content areas. So for example, our CTEs, we got an average score of a 4. Our health, our physical science, our visual and performing arts, and our world languages have not had changes to frameworks or standards for many years. So for example, the health educations, the last time they came out with standards was in 2008. So those have not changed. The PE was in 2005. The visual and performing arts had some changes in 2019 because of the framework, but the standards remain the same since 2006. So there's very few changes that have happened with these standards and these non-core content areas. Most of the push has been done for ELA, math, social science, and science. And then this part is what's the success at engaging the following activities with teachers and school administrators during the prior year, including summer preceding the prior school. So PD identify for learning needs of groups of teachers or staff, PD with learning on individual teachers, or PD for teachers on standards that they have not mastered. So currently the work that we're doing, the teachers do align their standards, the teachers do align their assessments to the standards, and then we have all types of instructional strategies, including all the AVID strategies that we've been training over and over. Like this last AVID Summer Institute, we took about 78 staff members. Prior to that, we had over 100 attending AVID. So every year we've been sending a large group of our teachers to be AVID trained. Prior to COVID, we had about 98% of our teachers that had been AVID trained, because for those that couldn't travel in the summer, we actually brought AVID here to make sure that they were all AVID trained. So a little narrative that I have to include in this area. I tried to include things that we're already working on, and I'm not going to read all of them, but everything is tied to our educational services goals, which is we want to improve Tier 1 instruction. We need to make sure that our students are reading by 3rd grade, and then we need to make sure that our kids are reclassifying when they're in elementary, because we wait longer, it's going to get harder. We are still vested in AVID. We still have technology that we're using also with all of our schools. And then you see the work that we're doing with the common assessments, of the frameworks. We're waiting for them to come out. And then other things that we do for teachers through our teachers on special assignment, like our literacy coaches and our intervention coaches. And then we always have opportunities for our staff to go to professional learning opportunities, whether it's here training that we bring, going to the county, or going to other trainings not in the Imperial Valley. Their priority is parent involvement and family engagement. They also have a tool that the parents help us score. Usually we bring in our Parent Advisory Committee, our DLAC, and our Migrant PAC. They help us respond. We provide them with all the slides of information of the things that we are doing in our schools with our parents, and then based on that, they give us a score. So we're trying to seek input and we also want them to participate. So this is the tool that we use. It's called, that is provided by the state. It's called the self-reflection tool, and there's questions in 3 different categories. The first one is building relationships between school staff and families. The second set of questions are building partnerships for student outcomes, and the third one is seeking input for decision making. So they too have a ranking from exploration all the way to full implementation and sustainability. So here we have questions related to developing capacity of our staff in order for them to be able to build trusting relationship with the family. So we got a 4 out of 5. And then you can see creating a welcome environment for our families and the community. The conversations we had, this is the one area that we had to work more. And even though that our data shows that our parents feel very welcome, some of the parents expressed that there's still more room to grow and that we should focus on that. So that's where we got the lowest score in this area. And then you can see the other items that we had under. And we always have discussions, and they tell us these are areas that we're doing great and these are the areas that we need to improve on. The next one is building partnerships for student outcomes. And this one, the lowest one that we got was number 7. And for them, it was the implementing policies or programs for teachers to meet with families and students to discuss student progress. So even though we have open house, and at the elementaries we have parent conferences, the main issue was at the high school level. We don't have those opportunities at the high school. We do have open house, we do have back to school night, but they don't have a parent conference day or week like we have at the elementaries and junior high. And I know that they discussed, including with some of our ACT staff, is possibly revamping in the future like our back to school night and making it more like a parent conference style where we could have conversations around student progress. And then the last one, I think it's the last one, it's seeking input or decision making. This is where our parents felt that we have grown a lot and we have sustained it. We have parents who had started engaging through the LCAP meetings that we have, and were involved in their at their schools, and then we saw the percentages go up, and as a result we were ranked higher in these areas. There was still room for improvement, and they gave us some feedback which we included. So here's some of the data that we share with them. We use the California Parent Survey for those parents that respond, because a lot of the questions that we ask them are included in this parent survey. So we had 1,111 responses this year. I'm giving you a list of the percentages that we had in the different categories over years. So from 2021 to 2025, the green at the very far right of each one, the darker green, that is our most recent score. So we submitted those scores actually between April and May. We're still getting these scores. So being an active partner, we were ranked 96% as strongly agree. Seeking parent input, 91%, and feeling welcome to participate, 95%. And the reason we had a 3 is because some of the parents that were present said that there's still some schools that need to improve in some of these areas. The parent involvement piece, serving as a school committee, that has been something that our parents have asked us, that we need to start building capacity and encouraging our teachers to be part of a committee. So we have seen a lot of growth from 6% in 2021 all the way to 17% this year. Attended a school or class event. The very first 2 years was during the closure of our students, our schools due to COVID. But you can see that has grown a lot. So we had 73% in attended a school or class event. Attended general parent meetings went up to 84, and then attended a parent teacher conference up to 81%. Number 6, priority 6, is on school climate. So that is a narrative, and they require that we give a local climate survey. So for us, we use 2. We use the Healthy Kids Survey as our number 1, and then we also have the Panorama Survey, because that one we do locally and we do it 3 times a year. So we include all this information in our narrative, but for the California Healthy Kids Survey, we had 2,345 responses, and you can see the breakdown of the responses by grade level. NT means non-traditional, so it could be any of the programs that we have at Aurora Alternative Education. So it could be, we had independent studies, our community day school, or just Aurora's information, but they had 100% response rate. Kudos to Aurora. So in our survey, we select certain reports that are already pre-made. But I did go in there to disaggregate some more data just to give you some information. So for example, the school connectedness, the majority of the questions are strongly agree or agree. Or for the littles, the fifth graders, they ask them yes, all the time, most of the time, or some of the time. So for fifth graders, the 70% did not include the sum of the time. Because if we were to include the sum of the time, they would go up to 95%. That's how connected they feel to school. For 7th through the non-traditional schools, they are told to respond whether they agree, strongly agree, or neither agree or disagree. The information you have here is strongly agree or agree. But when I add the neither agree or disagree because they're neutral, those numbers jump all the way to 88% average between those. Okay, so most of our kids agree that they do have caring relationships in our schools. Meaningful participation. I know that in the past they've asked, well, what kind of questions are students asked? So this time I pulled the report just to give you an idea because the numbers seem very low. We see 37% at 5th grade, 27 at 7th grade, 25 in 9th grade. And so kind of just so you know what they're asking, they ask like, are you given a chance to help decide class activities or rules? Do your teachers ask you what you want to learn about? Do you do things to be helpful at school? Do you get to do interesting activities when you participate in school? Do teachers and other grown-ups ask you about your ideas? So that's what they mean by meaningful participation. So when we pull this data, that was the strongly agree and agree. But if I was to include the yes, sometime, or a little, which is a little bit higher of being positive, then those numbers would go up from 60% to 76%. The second part are safety. In this one, they added only the always safe or sometimes safe. They didn't include the some of the time or the neither. So if I were to add those numbers, the 5th graders would go from 72 to 95%. But because we pick only the charts that they have at the very front, that's why you see the 72. At the secondary, those numbers go up to 90%, and even Aurora had 100% if I included the neither safe or unsafe, which is I'm neutral. The no, I don't agree was only 5% in every one of those grade levels. So the majority of our students do feel safe at our schools. Same information for the experiencing harassment, or for 5th grader was target mean jokes. You see the percentages for the elementary that seem like they're a lot larger than our secondary, was because at the secondary they do not include the pretty much and very much true. At the secondary, they do include it, so our numbers go down. But in 5th grade, they don't include it, so we do lose those points. If it had been added, that 44 would have been 13. So the way their reports are given for 5th grade is very different than when we get it at secondary. So that doesn't mean that it's worse in 5th grade. It's just that that's how the reports are pulled. So it would have been 13 if I used the same data that they used for the secondary. Then we have cyberbullying. Same. If we remove some of these or added some of these information that are not included, the data would be different. The numbers would have decreased just by a little bit. The saw a weapon at school, the way it's done at the elementary, it's a little bit different in how they ask it. They usually say yes some of the time or no some of the time. But at the secondary, they're very specific, and they have about 5 questions. They ask if it happened to them, if they saw someone, if it happened when they were walking, if they were happy on their way to school. So the questions are very different, and how they take the average is different. But what we do know is that for the majority of our grade levels, that number has gone down. The majority of our students do feel safe at our school. And so we're very, very glad that those numbers have been reducing over time. Even the non-traditional, it went from 33% to 4%. So the biggest changes that we've seen have happened at Aurora, which is our non-traditional school. And then the alcohol or drug use, when I was looking at the questions, the way they asked the question was if they had ever had a drink or a full glass of alcohol, and how many times? 1 to 2 times, 3 to 6 times, and so that's how that was calculated. So it's a little bit harder to get the data, but again, what we noticed is that those numbers have gone down drastically for all of our grades, with the exception of Aurora. And even though it says alcohol or drug, when I looked at the non-traditional data, the majority was due to alcohol, not to drugs. So what are we doing for safety? We have a director for our district that's in charge of a lot of things. He even does the Williams for us now. He does the trainings for our crossing guards and our campus security. He has the school resource officer that is always working collaborative with him. We have our SSAs that are supporting at the elementaries and some at the secondaries, and of course our crossing guards. There is a lot of work that's happening in the safety department. I'm not going to go over all of this, but there's different district and parents safety committees taking place. We look at all kinds of equipment to support safety initiatives at our schools. We have personnel that we just presented. And there's also a lot of community and employee engagement. He has good networking and relationships outside of what we do here in our school, so that's been great. And then we also have facilities like our Williams visits, assessing our cameras, walking every site to ensure that they are safe. This is something that is coming out of the safety department. And then professional learning. And then a broad course of study, that's probably the one that is sometimes more difficult to understand, because this is more about having access to a broad course of study. So for example, in the past, if you wanted to participate in an AP class or an advanced Spanish class, you had to prove that you had the grades in order to be accepted into this class. Those barriers were removed. Any student can take AP classes now. Any student can participate in a CTE. The one that we do not have control of, and is highly monitored, is the dual enrollment, which is now taking college courses. Because if a student is not ready for these courses and they were to fail a course, it's already impacting their possibilities of getting FAFSA in the future, because they're treated as adults. Other than that, our students have opportunities to participate in many of the courses that we offer. And so they have 4 things we have to describe in this tool. It is a narrative, and I get input from our principals for this one, since they're the ones who do the master schedule. So one of them is, how do you track which students have access? Every school has something different for this tracking method. So at the high school, well, we all use Synergy for sure, but there's other things that we do. They use Remind, applications. So the junior sites have interview for students to see if this is a course that they really want to participate in. At the elementary, it's more generic, like all students get access to all of this. Perhaps the one that we really discuss all the time is that our students with special needs have access to these courses too. And then we do have a small group instruction to do differentiated assistance. And then the newest things for the elementaries, they now have all their makerspace, which is access to project-based learning. Second one is to identify any differences across the school sites and student groups. So we have tried our best to ensure that all of our courses are aligned. The ones we had some trouble were between the junior highs, and one school had algebra, the other didn't. One had Spanish, the other didn't. So then we leveled it off. Last year they had everything. I think right now the only difference is that Willie Moreno has the FFA and Enrique Camarena does not have FFA. So that's something that we need to look into and work. But they all have STEM, career in college readiness courses. At the high school, we're trying to push CTE, A through G, dual enrollment. All of our high school has been working with all of the CT courses to make sure that they're A through G, and they did get a lot of those courses now A through G. So now teachers have to go back and realign their curriculum so that it matches to what we said we were going to do. we had to identify barriers, and some of the barriers that we have found is one is communication with students and parents, especially for our community who do not know the how the United States education works. I mean, I'm talking about the grading, the calculating a GPA, the credits, and so forth. We're still working in developing a 6-year learning plan, and now we're implementing CCGI, which is a platform where we're going to host all that information. And now we're having conversations about a 10-year plan starting at the high school, which is we start in 9th grade. What's going to happen after graduation? What is your other 4 years going to look like? Because we want them to go to a 4-year university. And then right after that, if you're going to be a teacher, for example, then you have to go for your credential, right? If you're going to be a lawyer, you have to go to lawyer school and so forth. So we're starting to have the conversation now. So what happens beyond high school? Time is also, limited elective offerings time to give kids courses, because a lot of our students were taking the designated ELD class. We found a solution for the high school, but at the junior high, we cannot change our curriculum. If we were to have a curriculum that had the ELD already embedded, then we wouldn't have to do this. But for 8th grade, we can't change curriculums because kinder through 8, we have to follow the state released items the state released curriculum that we can adopt. We just can't pick any program. And so we're still waiting for that list to be finalized. And then you can see other things that we have on here that are some of the impacts. I do want to point out that at the very end, one of the things that came out is that due to declining enrollment, there's been a lot of teacher transfers, and they did point out that sometimes, for example, I was at this school, I was doing 4th grade. My school no longer has a need for an additional class there. Then I'm going to be transferred to another school. I start at a brand new grade. And so having to reteach everything to the teacher at that level. What are the standards that we aligned for this year? What are the assessments? So it's just reteaching the teacher that are moved on what they're going to be doing now. So that they considered a barrier, but we understand that we are in declining enrollment in our schools, and we had to adjust. And then the last one is any revision, decisions, new actions that we want to make. And so here I have a list of things that we know that we are either keeping or we need to improve on. And all of this is based on all of the surveys. So you're going to see the 6-year plan come up, the CCGI that I mentioned, that we have more a CTE, A through G access, our dual enrollment, AP. We do have our initiatives. We want kiddos who received a 4, that they all reclassify, because that's the hardest filter to achieve, and once you achieve it, it should be easy to reclassify. Increasing our parent communication, continue doing the work that we're doing with AVID and the strategies that it's going to support students who have access to the core content areas. And all of this that I just mentioned drives our LCAP. So our LCAP, I'm not going to go over all of these, but all of these things are embedded in how we do our LCAP. If we know that we have to do curriculum planning, then we're going to add funding under curriculum planning. We said we're going to do a portrait of our graduate. We just finished our poster. I need to make sure that we still have funding to roll it out the following year. So that's true for everything that I mentioned. CTE, AP classes, we have funding to make sure that what we say we were going to do, we can support it through different funding sources that we have. And that is the last of my slides. Are there any questions?
You guys have any questions?
No, just a comment. Good job, Elisa. Very informative, very thorough. Good.
And as soon as the dashboard is released, which it's going to be released around November 15, when we have the official SBAC data and all of that, I can bring all that information to you to see what is our most recent academic data. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item C, comments from the public. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to an item on the agenda or any other item district business that is not on the agenda. Mrs. Stacy Olguin.
She wants to do it at the number or right now. Press the button down.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Stacy Olguin, and on behalf of the Library Board of Trustees and the staff of the Camarena Memorial Library, we wish to extend our deepest gratitude to the Department of Food and Nutrition, with special recognition to Ms. Araceli Alonso for their outstanding contribution to our summer reading program on Tuesday, June 17. Thank you. Ms. Alonso generously dedicated her time to deliver an engaging and informative presentation, offering valuable insights of the importance of healthy eating. She thoughtfully addressed questions from children and families, promoting greater understanding of nutrition and healthy lifestyle choices within our community. One of the highlights of the day was the hands-on activity in which Ms. Alonso taught participants how to prepare delicious and nutritious healthy hamburgers. This interactive experience allowed children to apply what they had learned in a fun and practical way, while enjoying a tasty and wholesome meal. We also wish to express our sincere appreciation for the continued support of the Department of Food and Nutrition from Calexico Unified School District in providing complete lunches and snacks for all children aged 1 to 18. Your generosity ensures that every child who participates in the program has access to nutritious meals, helping us create a welcoming and supportive environment for all. We are truly grateful for this partnership, and we look forward to continue to work together in service of our families and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Olguin. Ms. Elizabeth Esqueda.
Good evening, board members. My name is Elizabeth Esqueda. I'm Calexico Chapter 399 President. I'm here on behalf of our classified staff to say that we do not agree with the updated descriptions that Ewing Consulting concluded. The district paid a lot of money to this company with the promise that they would review our jobs and update the descriptions to match what we really do. But that didn't happen. Most of what they gave us looks exactly the same like the old descriptions. Some are even more vague than before. We feel like Ewing just copied and pasted the same descriptions, added an ability to, and called it a day. It's frustrating, and it affects all members involved. When our duties aren't written down, we don't get paid properly for them. Many of us take on more responsibilities than what's listed on our job descriptions. But without those tasks being added officially, we can't fairly be compensated or considered for reclassification. The truth is, most of us did not approve these new descriptions. They don't reflect our work, and although we thought they would be created with our input, they were not. We feel like our voices were ignored again. Classified staff are doing so much for this district. We support students, teachers, parents, and the whole school system in ways that often go unnoticed. And yet, when it comes time to recognize that work on paper, we were left behind. Ewing Consulting didn't do what they were paid to do, and now we're being asked to accept job descriptions that don't help us and actually hurt us when it comes to pay. We're asking the board to step in. Please take a closer look and demand the company that we paid thousands of dollars to do their job correctly so that we can be recognized and be paid fairly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Judith Lopez.
Good evening, board and superintendent and audience. I'm here tonight glad that the district finally is going to sunshine and we can start negotiating. I am Judith Lopez, Chief Negotiator for Chapter 399, and I'm here to let you know that we're here to negotiate in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, consent agenda. All items appearing will be acted upon by one motion without discussion unless an item is pulled for separate consideration and action. I will entertain a motion.
And this is to approve all the items on
1 through 12.
1 through 12.
13, I'm sorry.
1 through 13.
Unless you want to pull any of the items.
which is the item Mrs. Kaya just mentioned.
It's 22. 21, I'm sorry. It's on the action item.
It's an action item.
Motion. Have a motion?
And I'll second.
Have a
Aye.
second by Mr.
I have a question on an item, on item 13.
Okay. Okay, we'll pull item 13 for discussion. Item 1 through 12, there's a motion by Mr. Castillo, second by Mr. Arellano. Any other questions or concerns?
Yes, so item 22 is part of this, right?
No,
Actually,
no, it's not.
No?
We're on consent.
We're on consent. We're on the first part.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
We're on D. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And then we'll discuss item number 13.
I want to discuss the working out of class for the transportation position. Is there something that you wanted to speak on that, or?
If you want to ask your question, or you just want to specifically in general?
Yes, just wondering why we're seeking to find someone to be interim for that position
Mhm.
until is filled, and not being covered by, there's a director now, and not being covered by the director, which is usually the practice.
So for the, Ms. Calderon, your question is like, should the director
Oversee
Of
until it's
M&O.
filled.
oversee until it's filled?
Correct.
That's something we could definitely explore. You know, the transportation part of M&O, of,
Mhm.
you know, maintenance, operations, transportations, facilities, it has its own niche. You know, it's a very technical position with, you know, scheduling and bus routes but we could very definitely explore what you probably noticed that I was going to jump ahead of you, and you know, we don't believe that it could pass as is today. This is just going through the process of the board approving these working out of class or these new positions or whatnot. Some of them may or may not happen, as is usually often the case, right? With latest information that we received recently, this is probably not going to happen. This specific one for working out of class,
Okay.
and that's with information we just recently received on this very specific one.
And my main concern is exactly because of the technicality and how unique that group of employees is. We've always struggled with bus drivers. And to pull a bus driver from being able to perform his duties to be interim supervisor when we have a director now, that is my concern.
Right. And to our currently person who's working out of class, I do want to, now that I have this opportunity, we're talking about this discussion. Like I said, it's not going to happen, and that's through input from the person himself.
Okay.
But I do, and on behalf of the district, we do want to thank him and
Absolutely.
for the time that he did do it. Even though he was also doing the supervisory role, nevertheless, he still drove the bus when he needed to drive the bus. And I know right now we're in a little bit more of a down period because, you know, it's summer and there's not as many routes as we would normally have during the school year. So I just do want to take this opportunity, since this is coming up, to thank him for the time that he was able to give us as working out of class to help while we're in the process of finding the right person and finding the right supervisor for this position. But I could tell you that we could pass it as is, or if the board wishes to amend the classified employment report and removing this specific working out of class, that's the board's prerogative. If the board
Well,
would
if
like
it's
to do
not
that.
going to happen, we might as well remove it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
So I'll make a motion to approve item number 13 with the exception of the working out of class for the transportation supervisor.
I'll second that motion. Any other questions or concerns? No? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item E, number 1, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Contreras. I'm excited to share that all of our summer programs are in full swing with 526 students attending the Calexico High School summer program, 147 students attending the Aurora High School summer program, 44 pre-K students attending, 44 pre-K students and 430 TK through 8th grade students attending our Expanded Learning Spark summer program, and 324 students attending our extended school year program. In addition, I am very excited to share that we were able to offer a 3-week summer program for students at our McKinney-Vento MVP Center, and provide an Explore and Design video game academy through our instructional technology department. In total, we have over 1,000 students participating in our Calexico Unified School District summer programs. In addition to academic learning, credit recovery classes, academic enrichment, and intervention, our summer programs include access to our swimming pool, field trips to the movies, kayaking, and SeaWorld. I'm excited and proud of all of our staff who have worked so hard to continue our high quality school and educational opportunities and experiences going straight through the summer months. To all of our classified staff, our teachers and administrators, thank you for all that you are doing. This year we have even partnered with the Southern California Tennis Association and have a program in partnership with our Sparks Expanded Learning Program to teach the game of tennis to our primary grade students in grades 1st through 3rd grade. I'm excited and grateful for all of this incredible work that is taking place. I would like to thank all of our staff who are part of these wonderful programs throughout the summer months. Last week, I had the wonderful opportunity to spend some time with over 80 teachers and administrators at the Summer AVID Institute, where our team of educators engaged in a deep dive of AVID strategies, skills, and concepts, and looking at student achievement data. We're taking a deep dive. We have been for the past several years, but really continuing to take a deep dive at our student achievement and looking at our teaching and learning process to really drill in and focus on increasing our students' achievement work. And I'm encouraged. I feel very encouraged and enthusiastic about the work that I saw during our AVID Institute last week. I know that our teachers, our educators, some of our counselors were there, our principals, assistant principals. They were all working together as one team to focus on student learning through the AVID strategies and concepts, and really looking at college and career ready for our students, getting them ready to really reach their full potential. And lastly, I know this is went through our consent agenda, but I do want to take a minute to recognize the Wilson Sexton Foundation in memory of Mr. Mike Charles for the varsity, for his their $5,000 donation to our varsity football team at Calexico High School. Sometimes monies that we have to spend on equipment or uniforms or other things that are used out in our athletic fields are limited. We could provide some funding through LCAP and other funding sources, but anytime that members of our community, former alumni, give back to Calexico High School or Calexico Unified School District, to any one of our schools, is greatly appreciated. So a special shout out to Mike Charles, in memory of Mr. Mike Charles, and to the Wilson Sexton Foundation for their donation. Next week is a regular week for us. I know in the summer we started our 410 work week, but next week, with Friday being a 4th of July, it's a regular work week, and Friday we are completely dark. Even though we're on the 410 work week, our summer programs that I just mentioned are going Monday through Friday. But next week we are completely dark in celebration of our Independence Day in this great United States of America. So happy 4th of July to everyone. Bring out the hamburgers and hot dogs and nachos, and it's okay to have carne asada too, and and all that sort of stuff. So thank you, Board of Trustees. That concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you. Item number 2, ROP Committee, Ms. Calderon.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I want to report that just before school was over, IVROP was able to coordinate for a guest speaker from Sun Community to present to 139 of our economics students. They also were able to coordinate CTE 101 workshops that were delivered to 261 8th grade students from Willie Moreno Junior High School. And last but not least, right before school was over, there was an industry tour of the Calexico Waste Management plant for 26 students in the welding, agriculture, auto shop, and HVAC programs. So, thank you.
Thank you. Board reports. These are informational reports by board members. No action is taken. Mr. Arellano.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Jimenez, good evening, committee members. I want to start off by thanking a few people. Ms. Ramirez, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Sometimes I feel like we thank the teachers, and not that they don't deserve it, and our administrators. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that do a lot of the work. I think she pointed some of the work that Mr. Hernandez does as a director of safety. He is all over the place. I can personally speak on his behalf. I mean, he's reached out to not only probation, but other law enforcement agencies to assist during the graduation. I don't think we give him enough credit because he's always out there keeping us safe. And the numbers that Ms. Ramirez presented show the hard work that he's doing. I also want to thank our director of nutrition. She's done an excellent job over the last at least during the time that I've been here. She's made wonderful, she makes really good food. I used to hear, and I remember attending Willie Moreno, and I can't complain about Willie Moreno. They had really good hamburgers back then, but the food is excellent. I think we have the best director of nutrition in the Valley, so thank you. Honestly, you're doing an excellent job. Yes, thank you. And lastly, I want to wish our 11th-month employee a safe and restful summer. I know you were counting the days, so again, just like Mr. Jimenez said, a happy 4th of July, and thank you, everyone.
Mr. Castillo.
Very good. Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Not to repeat anything, and I won't. I think there's just two kind of points I just want to mention tonight. It's June, end of the school year, and I know in the past meetings and times we've thanked and recognized our school staff, our classified, for everything they've done to wrap up the year, our graduations, and do everything they can for students and parents. I think tonight I just want to recognize as well our administrative leadership team at the sites, at the district office as well, for their hard work throughout the year, 11 months, 12 months, it never ends. So again, we want to recognize them and thank them again, for all the work that they do. Of course, I think that includes, those here in the district office and those out in the school sites and elsewhere. Second point I think I also want to recognize is just thankful again, I think, for this school board. Again, this new school board, because it is unique in the sense that there were 4 new members, and that doesn't happen very often. So as we kind of wrap up this school year, I just want to recognize and be grateful for this team. Again, we discuss, we dialogue, we agree, we might disagree, but again, I think it's very professional. So again, I want to say thank you to all of you, for this new board. And as we look forward and move on towards the new school year, I know there's plans and tasks that we will be addressing. We're talking about our board retreat to identify the goals, to talk about student achievement, classroom instruction, data, facilities, everything else that we want to plan and move forward with this coming year. So I know there are plans and activities. But again, I just want to mention those two groups and just thankful as we wrap up June and the school year. Of course, wishing everyone a happy and restful summer. I think we go dark in July, right? So as far as a board meeting, we probably won't see each other until August. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Calderon?
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure serving with you too. So I want to thank all of the summer staff for making summer activities for our students a reality. I was reading that at summer camp, they have swimming lessons, acrylic painting, ballet, yoga, tennis, and so much more. And we're keeping our kids off the streets. We're keeping our kids busy during the summer, safe during the summer. Parents still work during the summer, so this is truly a blessing for our community, for our families. There's special ed services that are being provided during the summer. There's an online credit recovery platform. There's people behind the scenes doing all that work, and I just want to take a moment and appreciate all of you for your hard work, both certificated and classified staff that make this happen. It's a lot of work. It's hot, even though it might be indoors, but you got to go out sometime, and it's hot. So thank you for all of your hard work, and just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. A break for the board team in July. Hopefully no special meetings will be necessary. So we'll see you again in August. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abiña.
I mean, just a quick shout out to our food services department. I got to see the pictures on Facebook about when you had the event at the library. It looked fun. The hamburgers looked really good, and that the grill you guys had there. Families were enjoying themselves. So I wish I could have been there, but I saw the pictures after the fact. Also, I want to thank everybody for everything you do. And I know during the summer when our teachers and students and our school staff is out on break, a lot of you are going to continue working, getting our schools ready, getting the classrooms ready, the facilities, everything for getting ready for the first day back to school. So thank you in advance for that. Also, I'm glad, Mr. Jimenez, that you mentioned that at the AVIC conference, you guys took a deep dive and looking at data, very important. So looking forward to seeing that, those results in the future, Again, have a great summer and a happy 4th of July to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick things. I think they covered just about everything. We have a lot to be thankful for. I never thought that I would hear people that they like the food at the schools, right? But I think this is one of those where, the more you eat it, the more you like it. So thank you. Shout out to our maintenance department. I think that, I've been practicing with the kids outside the gym, and I see a lot of activity and things that they're taking care of down here at the high school, moving a lot of things. I saw that the 2 new ACs are ready they're outside ready to be installed, for the gym. On the 21st, the basketball team for the high school, the boys did a youth basketball camp. It went great. Mr. Moreno was present to go make sure AC and everything else was working, and that it was going well. The parents were allowed to stay there with the kids, those that wanted to, and it was a really good turnout. And it shows a lot of the younger kids that want to play the basketball. A lot of the little fire that they needed, it's there. So I was very proud of that group. Just happy 4th of July. We'll move on to item F, action items, consideration and action approval of the following items. Item number 1, approval of the 2025-2026 adopted budget and estimated actuals. Mr. Jimenez, could you?
Thank you, Mr. President Contreras. So this item right here is a legal requirement for us, a compliance requirement to present this budget prior to June 30th. So this being our last board meeting of the school year, and in June, we're bringing this item for the board's approval tonight. But prior to that, Mr. De La Torre, our CBO, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, will provide a presentation on this item. Mr. De La Torre?
Good evening, everyone. President Contreras, trustees, Superintendent Jimenez, colleagues, and community, welcome tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this presentation to you. Before I begin, I definitely want to acknowledge that putting together a budget, putting together the estimated actuals, putting together the July 1st budget, it's a team effort, right? And I'd like to definitely recognize that we have our business manager, Vanessa Gonzalez, here tonight. We have Cesar Sanchez, our accounting supervisor, and we have Adria Lopez, one of our accountants, who are key and instrumental in putting this together. So without them, we couldn't put this thing together. As Mr. Jimenez said, California Department of Education does require us to bring this for your consideration. We need to bring to the board the budget at these different times. Whenever we do a budget and we're looking for, in this case, we're looking for the estimated actuals and the adoption of the July 1st budget, we're constantly looking at what's changing, right? And what's changing with the federal funding. There's a lot of words on the street right now, a lot of concerns with federal funding, but we take a look at our federal funding, we take a look at our LCFF funding, we take a look at our state funding, and we take a look at our local funding. So for the development of the estimated actuals, our team reviews actual expenditures through the month of April. Sometimes we're able to include some of the May actual expenditures that we have and actual revenues that we receive, but normally we're looking through the end of April. At this time, in putting the budget together for the estimated actuals, it's a several week effort. And so we look to identify the trends. We work with management, we work with staff to extrapolate the data, the actual data that we have, and project out the rest of the fiscal year. There's a lot of activities that happen in all school districts, but I'll say and proudly say there's a lot of activities that happen in our school district. You heard a lot of mention right now from several individuals regarding all of the activities that are happening with the expanded learning program in the summer school and so forth. So there's a lot of activities that continue throughout. So we use this data to extrapolate that data and take a look and see where we think we're going to end up at the end of June 30th. We review the updated LCFF calculator. We get a brand new calculator to do our estimated actuals and July 1st budget. We look at federal, state, and local funding. We look at updating our assumptions and planning factors that are shared with us from ICOE and other consultants that help inform us to be able to put together the budget. On the screen right there, you see the estimated actuals for fiscal year 24-25. And at this point in time, we're comparing them to the second interim. We brought to you the second interim in the month of March, where we compared it to the first interim. At second interim, we had analyzed our expenditures through January 31st, and then as I mentioned, we presented those to you in March. So at this point in time, we're currently projecting an increase in revenue from 186.8 million to 191.4 million. And an increase in expenditures from 210.3 million to 211.8 million. At this time, as you can see on the screen, we're presenting a decrease of $752,000 in revenue associated with the LCFF calculator. So new picture in time as we're looking at estimated actuals, we have a reduced amount that is allocated to our school district. We are also recognizing additional revenue decreases from state and federal resources, but we're also recognizing additional revenue on the local resources there, and that's mostly due to the Bank of America loan that we have for the project that we're doing with the Energy Infrastructure Modernization Project. Bottom line, at estimated actuals, we're forecasting an improvement to our projected ending fund balance of $3,027,055 as compared to the second interim report that we brought to you. At first interim, we had actually presented to you an improvement of about $2.4 million comparing first interim to the July 1st budget. So why does this happen? Well, this happens because when we're creating our July 1st budget, it is our most conservative budget. We look at all of our vacancies, and we anticipate that the school district is going to hire every vacant position that is available to be hired. And then life happens. Not every position gets hired, or not every position gets hired beginning July 1st or August 1st or whatever it might be. And as we progress through the year, some of those positions may be filled mid-year. And so that allows us to be able to continue to show some savings. Throughout the year, we take a look and see where we can save on material, supplies, and other expenditures. And then this is why we end up with an improved year as the year progresses. This is the same information that is presented there. One of the things that I would like to highlight here, and again, speaking a little bit to the concern with federal revenues, for this current fiscal year, our federal revenues account for 7.5% of our total revenues. Over 72% of our projected expenditures for the current fiscal year are salary and fringe benefits. And then when we present to you in September the unaudited actuals, then we'll bring to you the actual expenditure for the fiscal year once we're able to reconcile all of the final expenditures for 24-25. But at this point, again, going back to the previous slide, we are showing an improvement on our projected ending fund balance of over $3 million. So to prepare for the July 1st budget, again, we take a look at many resources for information and guidance. The governor's May revised budget reflects at this point a projected $12 billion deficit for the state revenues in the state budget. And so that's a huge concern to our school district, a huge concern throughout the state. And as you well know, the legislature and the governor, they're still looking at finalizing the budget. I believe the governor has until the 27th to sign off on the budget. And in statute, they're supposed to have the budget done before the end of the fiscal year. So there's still some wranglings going on, but this is the information that we currently use, that we used during the month of April and May to prepare the July 1st budget. So in this specific slide here, you see some of the assumptions and planning factors. I like to point out that you see right there that we have a projected COLA of 2.3% for fiscal year 25-26. I would also like to highlight that this is actually lower than same time last year. The projected COLA was 2.93, right? And then it went down to 2.43, and now we're down to 2.3. And the other thing that I would like to point out, we talk about the COLA, but one of the things that we do know is that not all categorical programs are slated to receive the COLA as well. So that's really important for us to keep in mind as we project our July 1st budget and as we're working throughout the school year. As you know, funding for the school districts, and you see there are enrollment and our enrollment projections for the out years, but funding is really done at the ADA level. So we have to work as a school district and as a board to make sure that we have the number of teachers, the number of classified staff, the facilities to be able to teach all of the students that are enrolled in our school district. But when it comes to funding, we get funded on the average daily attendance. And so for us there, you see at the bottom, the loss of funded ADA, comparing enrollment to actual ADA. For us, it's an equivalent to about $5.7 million for fiscal year 25-26, a significant amount of money. You also see there, one of the bright spots there I will highlight is that CalPERS rates went down to 2.681. It's still very high. This year we are at 27.05. On the out years, you see that it continues to increase. But that was unexpected because we've seen CalPERS rates increasing year after year. What does that differential for us mean, the 27.05 to the 26.81? With our projected salary and fringe for this current fiscal year, It's a projected savings of about $73,000, right? So there's things that we can do with those $73,000. So that was a good surprise. The other thing that I would like to highlight in here, you see the consumer price index, and the consumer price index for the next fiscal year has it at 3.42. Unfortunately, we consistently see that the increase in goods and services, it's really 4 to 5%. So that 2.3% COLA for the funding that does receive a COLA, it's not even enough to be able to pay the real consumer price index, right? CPI is 3.42 on the out years. It looks like inflation is going to tame down a little bit, and then it looks like inflation is going to get back to normal as compared to the previous 4 or 5 years where we saw inflation increase by 9% in one of the years, right? I would also like to highlight our workman's comp rate, unfortunately, has gone up to 7.4031. Current workman's comp rate is 7.2866%. And again, what is the fiscal impact of that? The fiscal impact of that is another $107,000 that we have to pay into workman's comp insurance. So there's a lot of things that we could have bought with $107,000. Property and liability insurance, we received the rates from the company that we work with, and they gave us an increase of 3%. They did say that our 3% is one of the lowest that they have seen out there, but 3% is higher than that COLA of 2.3%. And then there's other expenditures that we have to consistently be cognizant about and inform what we do with that information as soon as we have it. One of the ones that I would like to highlight, you've heard about AB 218 many times in the past years. This year, for the next fiscal year, we received a projected invoice that is $227,000 more than we paid this fiscal year. So this fiscal year, we paid $95,000. Next fiscal year is going to be $322,000. So if you look at the percentage, that's a 339% increase. And that was really a big surprise to us, that it was going to be that high. The prior year, we paid $85,000. Current year, $95,000. Next year, $332,000. So again, there's a lot of information on that slide that we use to inform and guide us in putting together the July 1st budget. Of course, we use other sources of information. One of the biggest concerns that a lot of school districts, and you heard Ms. Ramirez speak to it a little bit as well, is declining enrollments. Let me get back to this one, and I'll speak a little bit about declining enrollment in a second. I mentioned the state general fund revenues and the projections. In the screen there, what you see is the difference between what the 2024 Budget Act had as far as the projected revenues for 2025-26, what the governor's budget had, and where the main revision actually has us at, right, at the $204 million. Whenever we are looking at projections, we look at trends, we look at the tangents, and we really don't like that tangent coming down on the May revision budget. I mentioned that Ms. Ramirez also mentioned declining enrollment. This is another source of information as we're putting together the budget, but this is a document put together by FICMAC where they show the continual downward trend in enrollment in the school districts. Why is enrollment declining? People are moving out of the state. They talk about the lack of affordability in our state. People are having less children than they were in the past. People talk about the whole impact of what's going on in the environment, and they're looking for other places to live. So it translates to us in declining enrollment. So it's something that we have to be cognizant of. And in years past, the district has been very intentional in ensuring that we're adjusting our staffing ratios and that we're looking at expenditures to ensure that we are looking at that declining enrollment trend. Right now, we really don't see that trend coming up. And at the state level, it's also not seen. It's still seen that that tangent continues to drop. So taking us to the multi-year projections. So for the July 1st budget, for fiscal year 25-26, and this is a combination of both our restricted and unrestricted funds under the general fund. So on the screen there, you see the fiscal budget for 25-26 and then the 2 subsequent years. In 25-26, we are projecting a large expenditure in capital outlay, and this is directly related to the Energy Infrastructure Modernization Project, which I mentioned earlier. We do expect to receive reimbursement for some of the expenditures that the district general fund is contributing to for this expenditure on year 26-27. So this funding stream is the Inflation Reduction Act, the community low income bonus, which our community and our school district qualifies for, the CalShape grant, and other funding sources that will help us recoup some of this investment. So in 25-26, we project a continual decrease on our ending fund balance, but then you see in the next year, 26-27, we're projecting then increasing our ending fund balance. This slide's on the far right. It shows the same information that I showed on the previous slide. What I like to highlight on this one is the difference between our restricted and unrestricted funds. On our restricted funds, you've heard many times many districts, us talking about the utilization of one-time funds and ensuring that we don't accrue expenditures that are really one-time funded expenditures, right? They can't be ongoing expenditures. So as we are projecting decreases and endings of those one-time funds, uncertainty of whether those one-time funds will continue, then we have to be ready to ensure that we adjust our staffing accordingly. And we're looking at for the out year of 26-27 and 27-28 based on today's picture and uncertainty of those restricted funds, that we're going to have to continue to adjust not only our staffing but also our other expenditures. In this slide here, you see again many of the, or several, and not many, because we have over 45 different funding sources on our restricted side of our general fund. And so there is a snippet of where we are projecting the expected revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 25-26, and then where we're expecting revenues and expenditures, more specifically revenues, are going to be on the 2 out years. So I know that many times we as CBOs come in front of our board and our community and we say right now we don't know what it's looking like in the out years, and then sometimes we end up getting additional funding from the state, from the federal government, or from local resources. But we present to you a very conservative picture in time at this point. So as I mentioned before, the school district, we have to ensure that we are being very strategic and adjusting all of our expenditures as we're looking at those declining revenues in the out years, especially on the restricted side of the house. On the unrestricted, decreases in enrollment and will continue to impact us greatly. So why do we continue to project deficit spending? As I mentioned, declining enrollment in ADA. I mentioned some of those things already before. The high contribution to underfunded programs like special education. We've encountered a lot of need for additional services by staff that translated into additional expenditures in salary and fringe benefits this year as compared to the previous year, as well as materials and supplies needed to be able to provide high quality educational experience for our SPED students. So for us, like for many school districts, we really consider that an underfunded program. We hear a lot from the federal government that they will continue to fund special education, but we don't necessarily see it in the numbers yet. As I mentioned, inflation, and then I mentioned that the governor right now and the state legislature are talking about a $12 billion deficit when they were talking about having extra money this same time last year. And so we have to be cognizant of the declining state revenues and what that's going to be doing to our budget. So how do we balance the budget in the out years? We need to continue to develop and further implement cost savings plans. We talked about adjusting staffing ratios. We talked about vacancy analysis. We take a look, and our administrative team works really hard, and we say, well, those positions that are vacant, how quickly do we need to fill them? Is it going to be impacted by declining enrollment pretty soon? And take some actions there. Maximizing the use of restricted funds. Our team works really, really hard to ensure that we maximize the use of those one-time funds so that we continue to alleviate our general fund unrestricted funds, because that's the one that we really need to protect the most. And seek additional federal, state, and local grants. I know that we have Ms. Brisa Huerta Price here. Fantastic at seeking additional funding sources for our school district. We also have Ms. Gabby Williams, I think she was here. There she is, there's Gabby. Fantastic at helping us look for those additional one-time fundings, and that really helps us continue to provide high-quality educational experience for our students. And again, at the bottom there, reduce general funds and district-wide expenditures as much as we can without sacrificing the educational experience for our students, and then the work environment for our staff, of course. So you saw in the budget that we continue to spend our reserves. We are using them to sustain essential services. We have to be cognizant that this is just a short-term solution. We have to continue to be very intentional to ensure that we are adjusting our expenditures in all areas to ensure that we continue, again, provide that high-quality educational experience. So as Mr. Jimenez mentioned, tonight we are requesting your consideration for approval of the estimated actuals in July 1st budget. If you have any questions.
Any questions or concerns?
Go ahead. I'll follow.
Yeah, on the enrollment, on the student enrollment, are we, have we contracted a professional consultant to help us with the study on those projections? Or how are we going about to getting those numbers?
Absolutely. We reached out, and the name of the company that the district has already worked in the past, we've been in contact with them last week, as a matter of fact. So,
Because
yeah.
I noticed that it's the same enrollment number for the 2 subsequent years. If you go back to your planning factors, so that the board can see what I'm referring to. And it's
Oops.
the very first row. Sorry.
He's going to bring it back up again. But yeah, without having that information, then we have an assumption there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are, Ms. Calderon, to answer your question, there are like Decision Insight and different folks out there that do run the analytics and do projections based on a variety of different factors, development, local economy, birth rates, and that's something that we are looking at, to look at the enrollment projections in the out years. Of course, as we know, an MYP is the current year and the 2 out years, so it's a 3-year MYP. We have been experiencing, as almost every district in the state of California, a loss of student enrollment over the past several years, and a lot of it is also done on a year-to-year basis. We do what we call the strategy or the model, the cohort survival rate, and we literally take this year's first graders and we how many they're going to be next year's second graders and so on and so forth. How many TK and kinders we got this year is what we project for the following year as well, and that tends to be a pretty reliable source of projecting enrollment is by counting the cohort survival rates. And we know sometimes we'll see like a very large outgoing senior class, for example. Let's say 750 kids, right? Outgoing senior class with a incoming freshman class of 640. 120 kids less. So we know that in the out years, our incoming high school class is 140 students less than the class that left a year prior, 2 years prior, and 3 years prior. So we look at those numbers to run these analysis. But I know there was I'm trying to think of the company as well. I believe they used to be Decision Insight. They changed. I think they were bought out or something to drill deeper into our enrollment numbers.
So if I can ask, I'm thinking on that same question, just looking at that enrollment number, it's the same number in your 2, 3 lying out. Was that number provided by that company? There's no change in enrollment.
Whether we have a change in enrollment for the next fiscal year, and we took a look at the trends in the last couple of years, and then this is our assumptions. Then right now, our assumption is that we're going to be at 78-24, right?
Why wouldn't we lower it for 27, 28 if it's a fact that we're going to be experiencing? Because that number drives our vast majority of our revenue source. So just keeping it the same for those 2 years.
So a question for
that's
the
a good point.
company
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's a good point. And as we present to you the subsequent interim budgets, then we'll be taking a look and seeing what that current trend is. One highlight that I would like to include right now, and these P2 numbers are not certified yet, so we're still waiting for certification. But between P1 and P2, we did have an increase of 9.1 to our 9.18 to our ADA. It's a good trend, again, because we get funded on the ADA, even though during the same time we had more declining enrollment. And so what is the fiscal impact? You know, I always talk about what is the fiscal impact. The fiscal impact of that is $153,000. So there's a lot of things that can be done with increasing our ADA. And I'll refer back to Ms. Ramirez, right? But she spoke about all the work that's being done in our school district to improve the connectedness of the families and the students to our school. And we need to continue to work really hard to close the gap between what our enrollment is in our ADA, because as you can see that in that same slide, $5.7 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, and the first number that we need to look at is enrollment, right? We have to have our kids enrolled first, and then once we have all our kids enrolled, then we have to worry about getting them to school every single day so that we can get appropriate funding. And on the second to the last slide on how do we balance the budget, if you notice, all of the bullets are decreasing expenditures, decreasing here, decreasing there. And there was one bullet point that actually touched on the revenues, increasing the revenues. You know, look for the grants, seek, go after the monies. So yeah, we have to not only focus on let's decrease our expenditures, but also let's find monies. And one of them is enrollment. So yes, the birth rate is low, people are leaving, but the kids that are here, we want them to come here. And kudos to all of the staff who makes CUSD a district where kids want to come to. Let's just keep working harder at that so that more kids want to come here and not transfer out to another school district.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely, the company their name is Schoolworks. Schoolworks, and so we will be following up with them as we, further drill into our enrollment numbers, because that's our biggest source of revenue, right?
Yes.
Our enrollment in combination with our ADA, right? With our average daily.
And the July
attendance.
1st budget is a very initial
Very
budget
initial.
for the year.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure that for first interim, you know, we have a more realistic enrollment for that third year.
Yep, yep.
For the third year
Absolutely.
out, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mr.
Any other
Castillo, did you
questions?
have anything else?
Did you have any else?
Mhm. No, that's it.
Again, on that same slide, just a couple observations and questions. Enrollment's already kind of addressed in that table. I see a lot of it comes from the dashboard or school services and school capital advisors and FICMAT. So again, just looking at enrollment as well, and maybe just to piggyback on that, if maybe a request could be, we saw the table, that was the FICMAT California enrollment projections and history, right? Could we get one just for Calexico Unified for, you know, to see ourselves, maybe for the last 10 years, enrollment, the last 10 years in the district? And we don't need that by tomorrow, but, you know, soon, maybe.
I could have it to you by tomorrow. We
Alright.
have that already.
No rush, but,
Yeah.
yeah, we saw the
no
California's
rush.
numbers, but let's take a
Yeah.
look at the districts as well.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
can have that in front of us. You talked about AB 218 and then 300%, so that was significant, just the numbers and how things are increasing.
Absolutely.
And help me understand this, and again, I'm not the numbers person, but again, it looked like at one point there was a $20 million decrease, was that?
So we're projecting a difference between our revenues and our expenditures for the fiscal year. And so I'll give you an example, right? So one of the examples would be with Prop 28 or non-Prop 28 money or strong workforce money. We get those funds and they're to be spent in 2 years or 3 or 30-month stream, right? And so we get the money and then we start hiring the staff, providing the services. And in the first year, we may show, I'll give you the specific example of non-Prop 28 because that's the one that pops to my head. We got $4.7 million, $4.8 million. We didn't actually spend any money on the first year. We brought to the board, Ms. Brisa Huerta and I worked on a plan, and we brought to the board a plan to spend the $4.8 million in the current fiscal year and the next fiscal year. So in that first fiscal year, we showed revenue, but we showed no expenditure. So that became part of our beginning fund balance for the next fiscal year. But at the next fiscal year, we're not getting any additional revenue because we have those 3 years to spend the money. And so when we take a picture in time for that fiscal year, we show a decrease in revenues versus the expenditures, but we're funding it through the carryover or the beginning fund balance. Same thing for the third year out. We didn't receive additional revenue, but we carried over half of those funds for fiscal year 25-26. Strong Workforce works kind of that way. We get a 70% advancement. And Ms. Williams, 30-month grant, correct, for the Strong Workforce? So we get a 70% advancement, and then we have 30 months to spend it. Usually we don't spend it the first year because the team is working on planning and figuring out what is the best way to spend those funds. There was a plan that was put in place, but it takes time to hire the staff, purchase the materials to enhance that pathway. And then we're utilizing those funds carryover. So that's what impacts every picture of every year.
Okay. And just, I know for the board, one of our main responsibilities is fiscal solvency for the district, you know, now and in the future. And again, some of us may not be here 2 or 3 years as we looking out. You know, there may be other folks here, and I think the decisions we make and discussions we have now are, you know, important as we look ahead in the future. For those that may be here and also for the district and employees, right? So I think that's one of our responsibilities. I appreciate the discussion about the revenues and the deficit spending, the cautions, the kind of the, what is it? Looking ahead, right? I think the governor and legislators are still finalizing California's budget. I don't know if it's been signed or maybe tomorrow or certainly by the end of the month.
Within the next few days, because they've got to reconcile it all and put it together and pass it by July 1.
Okay.
So
And certainly, yeah, once I think we have ideas of what that looks like, and I'd be interested in hearing, once it's approved, signed, the analysis and the impacts to the district and programs and funding, you know, and maybe by August, the impacts, right?
Sure.
What program impacts, if there's anything with Medi-Cal or MA impacts, or what that might look like for us
Sure.
to consider that.
And Mr. Trustee Castillo, if I could add really quick, is that when we say about governor's budget, right, we're talking about the state of California. You know, I think now more than I think even in past years, it's the federal budget as well. Although it doesn't constitute, you know, the majority of our budget, the majority is state and local, but there is a good, you know, percentage of it that comes from the federal budget right now. For example, Title I Part C, I believe it is. We're being advised not to count on it for next year. That's our migrant ed funding. And we get somewhere to the tune of about $600,000. With those $600,000, we fund, for example, 4 positions, among other, you know, expenditures. And we're being told right now, don't count on that money. You know, for this year coming up, right? So it's a significant chunk of change. That's 4 positions and other services and that we currently utilize with that funding source, and provide those programs and services to our students in those programs. You know, we've other grant money from federal grant money that you know we've already received letters that those monies are being cut or being not going to be provided anymore. And so so yes, we're very cognizant of money that we were counting on and relying on that we no longer are certain about. And in some cases we're certain that we're not going to get it anymore. And so having to make those decisions to make adjustments along the way, so it won't hit us like out of nowhere, like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, as you do see, sadly, in many school districts, and not through anyone's fault, but all of a sudden they're having to make very drastic decisions on you know, reductions in force and cutting major programs, and it's like a ice bucket of water, right? Because it's a lot, very, very fast. So we've been very cognizant over the years of trying to see ahead of us, right? Trying to you know, look ahead and planning and making those decisions accordingly.
Yeah, and I think we appreciate that that foresight, right? The planning ahead, doing things naturally or through attrition, and just being strategic about budget and all. Again, California budget, we'll see what that looks like. Certainly, as you mentioned, federal impacts or geopolitical issues that may impact that as well. I do appreciate that healthy reserve, you know, for the district, ensuring, you know, those uncertainties that may occur. And I think I think just as we're moving forward as a board and with this information, the new budget that's coming out and being released, keeping us informed. I think the staff, Mr. Gobernador, Mr. Jimenez and staff, you know, keeping us informed about those potential changes and potential impacts so we can be ready and prepared. And then finally, I do see that we're looking at a positive certification, right, which is good. We like those. And then preparing for more positives in the outlying years. Thank you.
Just one more observation. If you go to the MYP slide, and it shows how for this coming fiscal year that $26 million deficit, and then for the next fiscal year a surplus of $5 million. That's a really big jump. That's a $31.5 million improvement. I don't expect you to know all the details of why, but there has to be a couple that are humongous that count for that $31.5 million.
The biggest one is the capital improvements that are going on with the energy infrastructure modernization project. That will be completed in fiscal year 25-26.
Okay.
And so right now, the districts, through the healthy reserves that Mr. Castillo mentioned, and part of it through the Bank of America loan that we have,
Upfronting.
we are funding that, and we expect to receive the revenue from the Inflation Reduction Act, from the low income bonus, from the CalShape grant in the year 26-27. We also are plan and the expectation in the outflows and inflows of the projected savings both in utilities as well as operational expenditures, we're going to start reaping the benefit of that in the next fiscal year. Once those solar panels are turned on, we're already seeing the impact of the more than 250 HVAC units that are being replaced throughout our school district because we have spent already this year much less from the RMA account, the restricted maintenance account, to replace those ACs. But we have, of course, spent it with this energy infrastructure modernization project. And then it is also replacing with more energy efficient units than we had that were replaced, right? So the inflows and the outflows projections will start reaping those benefits in this fiscal year, and definitely more so in the out year.
Let's track and monitor those.
Yeah.
Those savings.
Yeah. The only other thing that I will say with that, Ms. Calderon, is that it's a great thing that we bought into lower energy costs in light of what we've all learned, that the utility rates in our county are going to increase in a higher percentage than the COLAs that we're seeing. I want to be really political with that.
We could definitely track that with by tracking month to month by the hard cost, the dollar sign, and then also the kilowatts that are being utilized. And I think it's also important, since we're talked a little bit about that to acknowledge that the energy infrastructure that we're installing, the solar panels and whatnot, it's not going to provide energy to the whole entirety of the school. It would require a lot more infrastructure to do that, but to a certain percentage of each school where these are going up. But we had a meeting today, a construction meeting today, and with most of our energy modernization projects, we're right on schedule, and we're expecting to turn on the switch. There's some final inspections and approvals, and that we're working with our partners with the IID and making sure everything's in place and ready to go. But maybe even turning on the switch even a little bit ahead of schedule. So we'll hopefully start seeing the realization of those savings a little bit sooner than we had anticipated.
Yeah. You have an awesome accounts payable team that will be able to tackle that monitoring.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. They're awesome.
Thank you. So we'll move into the approval of the 2025-26 adopted budget and estimated actuals.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 2, approval of local control and accountability plan, the LCAP, for the 2025-26 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
Second that.
second by Mr. Aviña. Questions or concerns?
Again, thank you to the team for putting this together. Quite extensive, a lot of work, and not just now, but for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 3, approval of Calexico Unified School District Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan Revision 2025-2026. And I'll move for approval of the item.
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 4, oral report summarizing recommendation for action on compensation for Superintendent Arturo Jimenez. Mr. Romel. Mr. Romel will do the honors of doing the oral report.
Well, good evening, Board, Superintendent Jimenez, President Contreras, and members of the audience. This matter is held in open session at a regular board meeting of this board in accordance with the Brown Act, Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, states that prior to taking final action on executive compensation, the board must orally summarize the recommendations for final action on the salary compensation and/or fringe benefits that will be considered. On behalf of this board, I will provide a summary of the compensation provisions in the proposed superintendent's contract. After public comments, this court will consider and take action on the items. The proposed contract provides the following provisions regarding compensation. The superintendent's salary for the 25-26 school year shall be $262,254.48, subject to all necessary deductions. The superintendent shall advance one step in salary on July 1st of each year of this agreement, commencing July 1st, 2025, subject to obtaining overall ratings of satisfactory or better on his annual performance evaluation. The superintendent should be afforded the health and welfare benefits granted to the district's other administrative personnel on the same terms and conditions. The superintendent should have 24 days of vacation annually with pay. The accrual of vacation should not exceed 36 days. Should accrued vacation reach 36 days, the superintendent will cease to earn an accrued further vacation until the accrued vacation falls below 36 days. In July of each year, the superintendent may elect to be paid out annually for up to 20 days of accrued and unused vacation at the then current daily rate of pay. The superintendent will be provided sick leave in amounts designated under the Education Code, specifically 1 day per month. As required by law, the district shall credit the superintendent with a cumulative unused sick leave for his previous employment with other districts. The district will provide the superintendent with a cellular phone to use for district business. The board shall provide the superintendent with an executive coach, subject to board approval, and the cost for the consultant shall not exceed $10,000 annually. That concludes the oral report.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments on this action item before the board takes action? Haven't been none. We'll move for approval. Questions or concerns? No. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Arellano make the motion. Mr. Avina second that motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 5, approval of contract of employment district superintendent Arturo Jimenez.
That's okay. You approve the oral summary, which is the board's prerogative to do so. And then now this is the contract.
Having done the approval of the oral information, now I'll move for approval of contract of employment for district superintendent Arturo Jimenez.
Again, I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Arellano, second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 6, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Verco Incorporated for cafeteria tables for Blank Charles Elementary, Dual Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, Cesar Chavez Elementary, Rockwood Elementary, Willie Moreno Junior High, Enrique Camarena Junior High, and Calexico High School 9th grade campus. Have a motion by Mr. Castillo. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Yeah. Item number 7, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Landmark Consultant Incorporated for laboratory of record services for the Calexico High School and Kennedy Gardens paving project. Have a motion by Ms. Calderon.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Avina. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Aye.
passes 5-0. Item number 8, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Reese and Associates Services for providing safety consulting services for hazardous materials. And I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 9, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Project Lead the Way Incorporated for professional development computer science courses for 2025-2026 school year.
I'll motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 10, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Grand Canyon Educational for Teach Beyond Surviving Classroom Management Professional Development for the teachers and administrators at Vincent Memorial High School during August 2025.
Make a motion to approve. Again.
I have a motion by Mr. Castillo,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Arellano. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 11, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Blas G. Guerrero, consultant for development and implementation of the freshman orientation project development at Calexico High School from July 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
Can we have a little bit more information on this?
Absolutely, yes. I'm very excited about this program. Mr. Guerrero, Dr. Guerrero, has been a very long time university admissions counselor and advisor, and has done a lot of work here within the Imperial Valley with our students in providing procedures and guidance and support on going to college, and actually is carries some of the credit for getting a lot of our kids throughout the Imperial Valley, including Calexico, to schools like UC Berkeley, UC Davis, and many places. So this is and I'm going to ask Ms. Ramirez, who's been meeting with him personally to develop this program. Mr. Victor Torres from IVC reached out to me a couple months ago and said, hey, you should really look at what this guy's doing. He's doing some really good work. He's currently already working in another school district I want to see. I believe it's Brawley. And it's just really good stuff that we can't wait until the kids get to seniors, right? The information we got to share with kids, how the process works, what this is all about, starting as a freshman. So this is for the freshman orientation piece. But if I could ask if the board will permit it for Ms. Ramirez to provide a little bit more information specifically about this program. But I did have the honor of meeting Dr. Guerrero, just a wealth of experience for over 30 years. I'm very grateful for Mr. Torres from IVC, who introduced him to me, and then I was able to make the connection to Ms. Ramirez, who knew a lot about him, before I even had approached her about it. She already knew who he was and what he does, and she goes, he's been in the Valley for a very long time and has done some really, really good work. So, Ms. Ramirez?
So yes, good evening. So yes, we've been working with Blas since I was at Willie Moreno, and we did through the Europe, the Algebra Academy, and then Mr. John Moreno did the Geometry Academy at the high school. I think he was a VP at the time. So between Ms. Williams, Mr. Moreno, myself have been meeting with Blas and coming out with 2 different programs that we're going to be proposing for the next year and a half. So the most immediate one is the freshman orientation. And so our goal is to ensure that students start having, or we start front-loading information with them. So on August 13 and 14, while the teachers are in professional development, Ms. Williams, along with Mr. Blas Guerreros and the counselors, we are structuring how that is going to look like. So we actually met yesterday to update the plan. Students will be coming in, and we now know that they're going to be able to get their new Chromebook ahead of time so that they're able to log into their CCGI account, where that's where they're going to do their 6-year plan. We are going to change some of the wording because I mentioned earlier that the next step is to do the 10-year plan. So in order for us not to get confused, when we say 6-year plan, that's the 7th and 8th grade students all the way to the high school. But when we talked about the college plan, that's from 9th grade all the way all across to post college. And so the opening session, where they're going to be presented with administrators on the side. It's going to be held at 9th grade campus, and we'll have the counselors supporting. We're looking into having our counselors come in for 2 hours in the morning, because we at first it was going to be a little bit longer, but we heard their recommendation that they really need to be working a master schedule, so we're going to cut down the time that they're there. And they're going to be working all together to make sure that all of our freshmen have access to their CCGI account, and that they know how to log in, and that we start having giving them information about what is the expectation while they're at high school. There's going to be a component on the college making it happen, so we're looking at partnerships, and Blas is bringing people from other entities to support with that. And then at the end of the day, we'll have people there that students want to talk to about college and moving forward. And then we provided lunch, and then after that, the session is over. So we're going to do it in 2 days. We do have about, did we say, John, 600 freshmen. So we're breaking it into 2 days so that we are able to manage classes. In the event that they all come, we'll have about 36 per class. So if not all of them come, we will try and see if we can get around 25 kiddos per class. So there's still more planning that's taking place. We will be bringing in our counselors prior to this to let them know that this is what it's looking like. And then hopefully mimic this or replicate it for our 10th grade orientation, 11th grade orientation. I was speaking to Mr. Romero, it'd be great if we do something for 7th grade, And then the other program that you'll see later on in agendas, we're bringing back one of the algebra academies, which is like a 120-hour program where students are getting reinforced in math in the morning, but they're also getting a lot of college and career readiness activities and through like a summer enrichment program.
Thank you.
Question, if I can, before you step down. So is the need to bring this down kind of revitalize, kind of develop the orientation, the freshman orientation?
So we've done, and probably John has a better answer, Ms. Williams, but we've done orientations in the past. They've been structured differently, but the way we're doing it now, there's a lot of research behind studies that Mr. Blas Guerrero has done, and so that's why we're trying to incorporate it.
So yeah, and Blas Guerrero, he's been here before, across the county.
Mhm.
I think one thing I'd be interested in is the kind of the deliverables that's mentioned. So if approved, maybe share that program guide, the implementation checklist, evaluation plan, and also interested in, as you mentioned, the sustainability or replication. What that plan and scaling might look like.
So yeah, we'll have that all information. Like, this is our first year. Like, we had an original plan, then we changed it again, then we had some input, so we restructured it again, and so we're still working on it, but we're hoping that we'll have something in place for August 13 and 14. I think we have a much better idea of what that could look like, and so we'll keep working with him throughout the month of July.
So,
Go ahead.
so you're only going to be he's going to be working with us for that event in August, and that's it?
For right now, this is for this event in August,
Okay.
but in the future, we're going to bring the other planning for the 26th summer. So we're not doing anything else besides this. Is one piece at a time, I told him.
Mhm.
So
Thank you.
question, so the max of $18,000, that's for the 2 days, 13 and 14?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And he's not gonna rack up that amount of money in 2
Mhm.
days. That's part of the
Till-
planning, the
till December, I think it
preparation,
is,
and
right?
Yeah, we have a lot of meetings to take
Okay.
place.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
get more of him for 8.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That was my main concern there.
And he's also presenting, so he'll be co-presenting. Ms. Williams will be co-presenting, so
So
We're
the
putting
plan,
in
the
the time.
plan sounds great. I'm glad we're doing that.
thank you.
Thank you. Call the question. I will entertain a motion for approval.
A motion to approve?
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
I second that.
second by Mr. Avina. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 12, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Get Psyched Incorporated to provide independent educational evaluation.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Castillo. I'll second that motion. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 13, agreement renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Miriam Alvarez Navarro to provide lead classes at all elementary and junior high school sites during the 2025-2026 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve with a comment.
I'll second that. Go ahead with the comment.
It did seem a little excessive, but when I did the math and narrowed it down to the cost per student for the 90 minutes, it's very,
Reasonable.
yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Trustee Calderon, because if you do it per student, it's actually incredibly affordable.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm really excited about this is we've already had her for several years, where she has built her beginning students, right, and her intermediate students, and students now getting into the advanced students, right, where they're doing their tiptoe stands and their splits. And I've seen these students perform, and they're looking very, respectable outfit here. They're looking really, really good. And so it's an opportunity that we get through our expanded learning program, our expanded learning funding, and yeah, this is throughout the school year, all elementary, all junior high, over 487 ballet classes with the 10, 15 kids or something per class. So it's definitely money well spent, and the kids love it. It's something that brings them to the program. She's never
If you
has
keep bringing her back, that means that, it's popular.
Yeah.
So are we going to have like a recital or something
We definitely
with the advanced students?
Yeah, we definitely can. This year, for example, at the Lights On at Night that we did at the FRC, where Expanded Learning did a beautiful night event where they showcased a lot of their work and the robotics and the art paintings, and it included a recital performance by our ballet performers. So we could definitely look at it incorporating something.
Rodney Auditorium,
yeah,
something very
yeah.
special.
Something very nice. Yes.
And that's one of the items that we've been working on the agendas, is bringing in what the total is, and then how many kids are going to benefit, or what's our return on investment, so that I know you did the numbers this time, that wasn't provided in there, but that's one of the things that I have kept on asking is how many kids are we impacting, right? And if you see the summer program at this point, you see how many kids are participating on the various items that we've been authorizing throughout, and you see the benefit, and you see the happiness and the learning happening. So I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 14, renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Move and Shine to provide yoga lessons to students of the expanded learning program during the 2025-26 school year. I'll move for approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion. Have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 15, agreement renewal between Calexico Unified School District and Orenda Education for scope of services from August 2025 to June 2026.
A motion to approve?
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns?
And heavily integrated into LCAP for this coming year.
Right.
Our plan, everything is.
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 16, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Imperial County Office of Education for 4 school board mental health specialists during the 2025-2026, 2026-2027 school year. And there was Ms. Huerta, if you could please give us some information about this one, and especially on the funding part.
Good evening, board and members of the public. Brisa Huerta Price, Director of State and Federal Projects. So this is the school-based mental health specialist started a couple years back with a grant from ICOE, through ICOE. Through that grant, we were funded completely funded by the grant. And because it was right coming out of the pandemic and all of the mental health issues, social emotional issues that we were seeing at the schools, the district expanded, decided to hire additional at the expense of the district. So we got one grant funded, and then it was an additional one. It worked really well for the school, so then we extended that to 3. That particular grant ended at the end, June 30th, 2025. So for the following school year, we will continue funding those 4 positions and the 4 staff members that have been working in our schools the last several years. It is funded with the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and because of the grant, the specific grant that they started the program with was specific for high school. Since that came to an end, this allows more flexibility to use their specialty and provide these mental health services, not just at the high school level, but if needed, they could also come down to the middle schools and elementaries based on need.
And again, this is funded through a block grant. It's a one-time fund, right?
Yes.
And the funds will end the 2026-2027 school year, right?
And then we're waiting on the state budget because there's in the governor's proposal, he's looking to put additional funds in this particular block grant. Yep.
And these specialists will not be shared. They'll be exclusive for Calexico Unified?
Yes, all 4 of them have been exclusive to Calexico Unified. One of them has been at Aurora and then providing services for the Bright Horizons program, and then 2 at the main campus and 1 at the 9th grade campus. Now we have 4, and if the need is in any of our other schools, then we could move or make some changes there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
How many kids are being serviced, like, more or less?
Ooh, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I can get you that information, because they do keep a lot of data. They keep track of the number of students served, the diagnosis, the services that they provide to the students. So let me get that from ICOE, and then I will share that information.
So there's like
with
a tier 2, tier 3 intervention?
It's supposed to be a tier 2, tier 3 supports. And I know, like, I work a lot with the one at Aurora. She's very integrated into everything that the students do, and so they're really seen as a resource for students. Get to know them, the staff gets to know them, they're referred, they're well integrated.
This issue was brought to superintendents at the ICOE monthly superintendents meeting when their funding source was coming to an end. They have been trained extensively through our program with ICOE, and the feedback that we received from our schools is just how impactful they are in working with students who need the mental health support, and very high accommodations from our school staff as far as what a critical position this is in working with our students who need that help. And so because of that street data that we got, we decided to move forward. And I gotta say, at being at the superintendent's county meetings, most school districts also kept their mental health specialist, also kept this program. There might have been a school district with half less or something like that, but most school districts kept a mental health specialist that they were already funding.
Do they work exclusively with the students, or when needed, do they also work with parents, with the family?
Right, and so I could have Mr. Moreno provide some information.
So they work with everybody.
Yeah.
But you can get in.
We have a special room for them right next to the library. It's open at both lunches, and they have what's called the NAMI Club. They hold lunches in there. It's a really welcoming environment. We service about 60 to 70 kids that go there on a regular basis, especially at lunch throughout the day. At the ninth grade, there's probably another 35, 40 kids. Ms. Arredondo is the one that works with them there, and we have two at the main campus. And it's located, like I said, right in the middle of our campus, and the doors are open. Sometimes they have people from other agencies that set up tables outside. They there's giveaways, the frisbees or what have you. But it's just a welcoming environment, and something that we've talked about earlier in this meeting. So I think it is a good thing, and we want to continue servicing our students. I recommend, or other administrators or teachers may refer students to these three actually mental health specialists that we have. So it's a good thing, and we're happy to have them. They do other things. They've even taken the kids on a field trip. So it's just something that we really need nowadays. Thank you.
I visited this room, and I was fortunate to walking with Mr. Moreno. We're just walking the school side, and that they were there. I believe it was during one of their lunches, and was actually able to hang in there for hang out for a while, and see them do their work, and but the sentiments, the reflections, the observations that Mr. Moreno just shared with us is what we hear from Aurora. I know that Mr. Lopez wants to say something about it, but I think it's going to be, it's going to be, Mr. Lopez actually said, I don't know if we could do without this person. They're that important. When we have an episode, a moment, a student really having a very difficult time, this is a go-to person who is able to help them out and get through that process.
Well, I appreciate that information, because I did question it. So I spoke to Mr. Contreras, because 1.4 million or so, right? But if it's worth it, helping our students, so thank you for sharing that information.
There's a lot of other added services when they do the referrals to behavioral health. They already come with a certain track that eliminates some of the process for behavioral health to intake the kids, and also the referrals from the adults. Because sometimes it's the parent that has the issue with the mental health, but the kids are the ones that need the assistance. And when they do those referrals, it does save a lot of money. So when you're looking at that, like 694,000, it's probably 3 to 4 times more once those referrals get sent out to the other agencies.
I think that's one of the greatest things that came out of this grant, the partnerships with behavioral health, and so behavioral health hired a person that directly works with a school-based mental health specialist, and so as a result, when there is a need or a referral from the schools, it kind of puts them to the top of the line. And so a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the issues or the barriers are kind of eliminated because they've started the services or the referrals here. And so there's a really good relationship and communication between the two, and not limits.
And just real quick, because our company does a lot of services, a lot of referrals, and it takes us 155 days to get them from ready for a referral acceptance, right? So it takes a lot of days for that, and they fast track a lot of that stuff. Go ahead.
And if I can add, some of our first parent nights we had this year was led by a mental health specialist that showed parents how to properly do the referral. She also helped our adult education doing workshops in the classroom, held the first mental health fair for adult students. So with Ms. Brisa Huerta leading that way, she came and did about 4 parent nights just specifically for mental health support and individual classroom support for adult education. Even though she was placed at Aurora, she served all alternative education programs just by being there. So talk about pliability, field trips, ASB, and one-on-one support from parents down to our students in class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also keep in mind that it's self-referral as well.
Yep.
So that's awesome, because at the 9th grade level, the counselors are really busy with scheduling and something else. And the students know the presence, Ms. Arredondo, where she's located, so they self-refer themselves, so that's awesome.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call a question. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Aviña, second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 17, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Our Lady of Guadalupe Academy at Vincent Memorial High School for scope of services and products during the 2025-26 school year.
I'll motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Aviña. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 18, approval of agricultural career tech education incentive grant for 2025-2026. I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Have a second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 19, revised single plans for student achievement, SPSA, for 2024-2025 for the following schools: Blank Charles Elementary, Cesar Chavez Elementary, Dual Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, Kennedy Gardens Elementary, Mains Elementary, Rockwood Elementary, Enrique Camarena Junior High, Willie Moreno Junior High, Calexico High School, and Aurora High School.
A motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Aviña. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 20, preliminary single plans for student achievement, SPSA, for 2025-2026. Plans for the following schools: Blank Charles Elementary, Cesar Chavez Elementary, Duals Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, Kennedy Gardens Elementary, Mains Elementary, Rockwood Elementary, Enrique Camarena Junior High, and Calexico High School.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Aviña,
I'll second.
a second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 21, board action to approve Calexico Unified School District Sunshine in initial proposal to the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 399, for negotiations on successor collective bargaining agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon, second by Mr. Aviña. Questions, concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 22, adoption of revised classified job descriptions and updated job titles. I would like to make a motion to table this item for the next meeting to allow some time for us to take a review on it, and because there's a significant number of positions in there.
I'll second that.
Have a motion, a second for a table.
And
Questions or concerns?
question, just then there's no urgency at this time.
No, we definitely have time to look at this
Look
further.
at-
Yeah.
Good.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 So we'll table this item number 22 for further review.
We'll have all of July to look this over.
Yes. Yes.
Item number 23, adoption of new job descriptions, nutritional service program manager.
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Arellano. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 24, recognition of Booster Club, Calexico Cheer Booster Club for fiscal year 2025-2026. I'll
Motion
make,
to
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 25, recognition of Booster Club, the Calexico Dogs Girls Basketball Booster Club for fiscal year 2025-2026.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Arellano. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns?
Just a quick question again. On this one and the other two, just again ensuring that they've met all requirements legally. Okay. perfect.
Absolutely. We're very hyper
Yes.
cognizant to making sure that they meet all the requirements. So yes,
Good, thank you.
they do. Mhm.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 26, recognition of Booster Club, Calexico High School Parent Band Booster Club for fiscal year 2025-2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Arellano. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 27, second reading of revised Board Policy 5131, Conduct.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 28, second reading of revised Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees. I'll make a motion
I'll
for
second.
approval.
I'll
Second by Ms. Calderon. Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. It's taking some time to load here. Item number 29, second reading of revised Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 4030, non-discrimination in employment.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
Second that.
second by Mr. Aviña. Questions, concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item number 30, second reading of revised Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 4144, 4244, 4344, complaints.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll second that motion. Questions, concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 31, rejection of claim Miguel Angel Castillo versus Calexico Unified School District. I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Calderon. Questions, concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Item number 32, notice of complaint for the completion. So I got stuck on complaints here. Notice of completion for the A4 modular classroom building, phase 1 at Calexico High School.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
Second that.
second by Mr. Aviña. Questions, concerns? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 33, resolution regarding disposition of surplus assets, non-assets, vehicle and maintenance, and operational department.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon,
Second.
second by Mr. Aviña. Mr. Arellano,
Yes.
Mr. Castillo,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Aviña.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Resolution passes. Item number 34, resolution regarding disposition of surplus assets, non-assets, custodial equipment at Cesar Chavez Elementary.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Aviña. I'll second that motion. Questions, concerns? Mr. Arellano,
Yes.
Mr. Castillo,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Aviña,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Resolution passes 5-0. Item number 35, resolution regarding disposition of surplus assets, non-assets, and technological equipment at Cesar Chavez Elementary School.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Calderon. I'll s-
Second.
A second by Mr. Aviña. Questions, concerns? Mr. Arellano,
Yes.
Mr. Castillo,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Aviña,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Resolution passes 5-0. We will go into closed session, convening into closed session. Thank you.